Hello, my name is Maureen Waybright, and I'm from Columbiana County. I actually live in Stark, but I work in Columbiana. I'm here to talk about the mental health aspect of Medicaid expansion. I suffer from serious mental illness, and about 18 to 20 years ago, I was in and out of psychiatric wards and hospitals. My two children were sent back and forth between my mother's and my sister's homes while I was being hospitalized for an illness that was out of control, that I didn't understand, and at that time the doctors didn't seem to have a name for. It took several years for them to diagnose me with bipolar disorder, with traits of borderline personality disorder. My story is about going to work and getting off the Medicaid system. And when we hear Medicaid, we often think of welfare. That's the first thing that comes to our mind. I've been on Social Security disability. I've been receiving Medicaid, food stamps, housing assistance for my children and I for over 12 years. My illness was finally manageable. We had the right medications. I no longer was in and out of hospital psychiatric wards, and I wanted to go to work. I wanted to be free from the system that was holding me bound in poverty. But without the medical insurance I so desperately needed in order to keep up with my mental health medications, in order to keep up with my mental health treatments, in order to have coverage for my children so when they became ill or sick that they could receive medical services, there was no way that I could return to work. I understood losing my food stamps when my income increased. I understood when my metropolitan housing assistance had to be cut back because I now had an income. But I didn't understand for the life of me why the government programs were insisting that I lose my Medicaid coverage as well. Without that coverage, I would not be a full-time employee that I am today. They provided services for me for almost 18 years while my children and I went through my mental illness and bouts of depression and hospitalization. But when my illness was finally under control and I wanted to work and become independent of the system, they made it impossible for that to happen. Medicaid expansion will offer the opportunity for people to continue getting the treatments they so desperately need in order to go to work and become independent from the system that the taxpayer dollars are paying for. I was very fortunate. The counseling center where I live in Columbiana County had a pilot program at the time. My spend down for Medicaid was almost $600. I was not making enough money to pay for that Medicaid, let alone to buy the food from the food stamps I no longer had, or pay the increased rent for the housing that I needed for my children and I. Through the pilot program at the Mental Health Center, which was funded by mental health dollars, I was able to go to work part-time at first. They paid my spend down so I could continue to get the treatment that I desperately needed for my illness to be under control and to take care of my children. If they hadn't been able to pay that spend down, I would still be on Social Security, I would still be receiving food assistance and housing assistance, and I would not be independent from the system that's held me back and wouldn't allow me to move forward and become independent from them. I started to work full part-time and worked for 2 years as part-time and needed additional Medicaid assistance. They were not willing to help me through that time with Medicaid when I needed to continue my treatment and stuff. But they were willing to keep me on it for an indefinite amount of time if I had not gone back to work. After 2 years, I was able to work full-time and pay 20% of my own health insurance for my children and I, and to be able to move off the system that was holding me bound in poverty. Medicaid expansion is extremely important for people with serious and persistent mental illnesses and those who suffer from alcohol and drug addiction. I just wanted you to hear my story and understand the importance of it, the need for this expansion, and to remember that now is the time, and we need to move forward and help people who so desperately need the medical and mental health and alcohol and drug treatments in order to move forward in their lives and become independent from the system. Thank you.